Hey, welcome back to True-Moto-Resto. And on today's video, we're going to continue with the disassembly and cleaning of the CB900F. Okay, so along with all the fun stuff in restoring the bikes, you know, disassembly and all that kind of interesting stuff, comes the awful tasks, like scraping 40 years of chain lube and dirt and crap out of the inside of a chain guard. This is quite a mess. So I've been doing this with a bunch of stuff. I started I got the sprocket and the carrier clean. I got the primary cover is clean on the inside and the outside, and now I've also still got to do the the swing arm. It's a mess. I'll take a bit of cleaning. Typically what I do, I'm not going to spend a ton of time showing all the cleaning process, but typically what I do is I just use a scraper, scrape off the bulk of the crap to get it to a point where you're kind of down to the smaller stuff in there. And then I've got a old wash tub that I use here and it's down to the toothbrush and kerosene. And then once I've gotten most of it off, then I'll come back and hit it with some brake cleaner, and that'll usually take care of it. So one repair that I did have to make is the headlight bucket. So that kind of goes this way. It was cracked all the way around here and held together with some electrical tape, which wasn't really doing anything. So I welded it, plastic welded it inside, plastic welded it outside. So I'm basically gonna sand this off, and then I'll fill that, sand it, and then the whole thing will get repainted. All right, so everything's been scraped off, cleaned with kerosene and brake cleaner. So all the caked on crap, which is kind of all down here, everywhere. Kickstand, center stand there was really, really bad. Of course, because it was covered in chain lube and dirt, and same with the center cross member there, the frame. It was also covered in a lot of chain grime and road grime and whatnot. So the steps I'll take now is I will start giving it a scuff down with a 3M Scotch-Brite pad and acetone, and that's kind of a good first step. At least it works for me as far as scuffing up the paint and getting rid of any residual oils and greases and contaminants and all that kind of stuff. Then it'll get just whatever I can get to easily enough. Will be sanded, traditional sanding, and then I'll cleaned off again with panel wipe, degreaser, whatever you want to call it, all that kind of stuff. So it gets quite a number of different levels of cleaning. For this particular frame, I probably, in hindsight, I probably could have power washed it to get the bulk of the crap off, but the power washer isn't going to take the grease off. So one way or the other, you've got to deal with the grease and the grime anyway. But anyway, it's getting there. Things are getting cleaned off quite nicely. Now it's just a long, tedious process cleaning these things up and getting them ready for paint, but you just got to pick away at it. It's boring sometimes doing this stuff, but what choice do you have? The other thing I'll show you is this is an epoxy plastic filler. So I plastic welded it as you saw earlier, and then I've got this epoxy plastic repair filler on there, so this will get sanded down like any other body filler, and then this will be ready for paint as well. Rear swing arm has also been cleaned and had its first degreasing. So again, it'll get the acetone and Scotch-Brite treatment before I get into sanding it. And then the other thing that's still covered in a lot of crap and grime and oils and whatnot is these wheels, so I have to get these things cleaned off, and then I also have to get them on the tire changer. Okay, the frame has been cleaned with kerosene to get all the crap off it. It's been brake cleaned. It has had acetone on it to clean it. So basically all of the grease and the crap is now off, and now you can kind of see like little bits of surface rust around the welds and whatnot. So the next step, and basically all this stuff is at the same sort of stage. Everything's been cleaned. So now I'm going to go over the whole thing with a combination of Scotch Brite pads and emery paper. Probably about a 320, 400 grit, just to get everything is scuffed up. There's a couple of spots where I'll take a Dremel tool just to get rid of any, if there's any prevalent rust anywhere, keep that cleaned off. And yeah, same with this stuff. I have these engine guards that have to get cleaned as well. And also this rear brake brace has to get cleaned and sanded, as does the headlight holder and the side stand. So a bunch of stuff has to get sanded and prepped. There'll be some primer here and there. Anywhere where I get down to bare metal, I'll use some self-etching primer. And then the paint that I'm going to use on the frame and swing arm and that kind of stuff it's an Imron product. It's an industrial gloss black paint. It's a single stage paint. It's very durable. I used that on I think I used that on the CBX750 frame as well. So it seemed to work pretty well. It goes on quite nice. So we'll keep at it. Those of you who are wondering why I wouldn't take this and get it powder coated, the simple answer is we have one or two powder coat places within about 45 minutes of where I live, which is northern Ontario, and they both suck. So I refuse to go. I've been to the one place a few times, and I will use them to sandblast and clean stuff, so they're fine with that. But I've done several motorcycle frames and been there and had several failures. The product looks like it's been applied with a stucco gun, so either too much powder or not enough heat or whatever, but they were dreadful. So I refuse to go back and have them keep ruining frames where I have to then force them to strip them back for free again, and then go through the process of buying some sort of spray paint to spray them. So now I just don't even bother. It's just not worth the mess they make and the aggravation. Not to mention the tubes and the frames end up getting filled with blasting aggregate or blasting media or whatnot. So they don't do a very good job of plugging the holes, and it's just not worth it. I should open up a powder coating shop, I guess, because I'm pretty sure I could do a better job. Anyway, that's why you will not see much powder coating happening on this channel. All right, so I've got most of the frame components ready for paint. There's a couple of spots here where I've just put some self-etching primer, so that just needs to be scuffed a little bit before I head to the paint booth on Saturday. Today's Thursday, so give me lots of time just to finish up, making sure that I've got everything ready to go. But yeah, I've just basically taped up any place where I don't want paint. So down here on the mounting points for the rear shocks, I don't want paint. There's a decal there that I'm going to preserve. The VIN tag here, and then there's a couple of mounting points here which had some trouble getting these off, so that's no big deal. I'm just going to leave those mounted on there. The mounting lugs for the subframe, the removable subframe piece, I guess, removable frame. Those have got threads on them, and then any place where there is an internal thread, places like this, I've got some plugs that I have to mount in all of those places like this. places like this here. So I've got some rubber plugs that'll go in there just to make sure, a couple down in here as well, just to make sure that I don't get paint on any of the threads. It just makes it a whole lot more difficult getting things back together. There's all the frame components. All right, so we're back at the shop, and all my freshly painted parts are here. So that was it was fairly quick and simple to paint all this stuff yesterday. I was only there for an hour, and this paint, this Imron industrial paint, it goes on beautifully, and it's quite thick. So you got to lay it on really wet to get it to flow out, but it's very difficult to get it to run. So easy to kind of have it to go on kind of too dry and orange peely, but if you really soak it on there really well, it flows out really nice, and you don't end up with any runs in it. So it's yeah, it turned out really well. So now I can let this dry for probably a number of days before I start playing around with it, and then we can start some reassembly, new bearings in the head, steering stock there, and yeah, should start to look like a bike again soon. In the meantime, while that's drying nicely, I'll move on to detailing, painting and polishing and whatnot on the engine. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I guess in the next set of videos, we'll start reassembling the bike. So look forward to that.